Okay, now we have the blocks. We need to put them into their groups so we can get the right sprite on them. So we're going to go to, well, we're going to make a new class called groups. Oh, group, sorry. So group, I think I have it down here. Okay, there it is. So group. Each group will have some variables. The first variable is the sprite off and on, right? So that's when the water is on or where the water is off. And also we need a list of the blocks in that group. When we initialize the group, we're going to pass in all the blocks and the two sprites, and we're going to initialize those variables, right? Those instance variables. And then once we have the blocks and the colors, we need to fill those blocks up. Remember, there are going to be some generic sprite that we started with, so we need to fill that up. Okay, there is the function, so we're going to go through all the blocks and we're going to call the function filled. And that's the block function. So in the block function, we have that, but we commented out because we didn't have the group ready yet. So let's take this out and see, this is going to be filled. This is going to fill block, and it's going to be based on whether it's filled or not. So the block needs now a group. It needs to know which group it's in. So let's add a new variable to the block. It's group. We're going to do a getter and setter for this. So they have to go through this function to set the group. Okay, so who is going to make these groups? Well, the level. The level will make those groups. So after the blocks, where is that? Start. Yeah, after the blocks have been formed in level, we're going to put them into the groups. Again, we're using the XML level data so we can place them in the right groups. Okay, let's make that function. I think we'll do it down here. Oops, I'm in level. Initialize groups, so initialize blocks. We'll put it right under this one. So this will be initialize groups. Oops, KD. And I deleted just one curly brace here. Okay, KD should be okay. So the first thing, initialize groups, we're given the XML level data, right, which has the information from the XML file. And we're going to put all these groups, organize these groups in an empty, so they're not all over the place. They'll be inside, the blocks will be inside the group, and the group will be inside this empty. So it's just a good way of organizing a hierarchy in the game. So let's get to work. We first need to initialize the groups list. So I don't think we have that variable here. So we have the blocks, but we don't have the groups. So we'll make the groups here, group variable. Each group will get a color, right? So we have to start with 0. We could make this random too, but we'll save that for later. So we'll do it in order at this point. Okay, so now we need to iterate through all the groups in the XML group, right? So in this XML level, we got the groups, and the groups are an array, so we need to go through each of those groups and initialize those groups. For each group, we're going to make a game object. We're going to give it a name, and I'll give it a number too based on the color index, right? So we can recognize each one of the groups separately. Once the group is formed, we'll put it into the parent group object in this holder, right? So every group will go into that folder. Since we don't have a prefab, we don't need a prefab for the group. There's really no, nothing to it. It's just script. So we need to add the script to the object because we're not using a prefab. So we have to actually, how should I say, explicitly add the group script to the group object. Okay, now we're ready to add the blocks that belong to that group. So we're going to make a new list, and we're going to get all the blocks that belong to this group. We're going to use a loop to iterate through all those blocks. So we're going to look at the positions in that group. Remember, every one of them, every group has a certain number of positions, so we'll iterate through them. Every position, XML position, has a row and column, right? This is inside the group, we have a row and column, so we're going to extract that. Now that we have the row and column for that block, we need to get the block, actual block. So we get the block from the matrix, right? Using the row and column from the group variables, right? So now we have the block, we need to add it to the group. So we have the block, let's do some initialization. We're going to take that block and we're going to set its group to the one that we're working on here, right? So it needs to know what group it's in, right? We're also going to put the block into the game object, right? So the group game object, right? So we're trying to keep this nice and neat. Okay, so we have everything we need. We just need to add that block to the group. So this is going to iterate through all the blocks, and in that list will be all the blocks that belong to that group. So once the loop is finished, we have the blocks and we just need to initialize the group. So with the group, we need the colors, right? So we're going to go to the game manager, which has all those sprites, and we're going to select the next two colors. They come in pairs, right? The water on, water off. So we'll get the two sprites. Now we have everything we need to initialize or to construct the group. So we're using this constructor in the group. This is this constructor over here. We're passing in the blocks and the two sprites, right? Actually, I should save this. Okay, so the group has been formed, and now we need to add that group to our groups list and increase this color index by 2. So the next one will be in the right order. So we made the group and we added to the list, right? So we have now. And this is our list over here. Which one is it? Yeah, this is our list. So this is the list of the group. So it's pretty complicated here, but it takes a little while. So let's test it out. I saved everything and I'm going to go run this, right? And if I click and you see we have the group colors, right? The group colors, level 5. And the colors are set. So that's working pretty nicely. The groups are formed.